what's going on, everybody? Simple Duck here, and I'm back from BlizzCon. It was such an amazing weekend. Incredible time, really was. And I want to say a big thank you to all of you guys who have been supporting the channel and the stream and really made this whole thing possible for me. So before we get started, just a huge thank you to you guys. I really appreciate all the support, so thank you guys. Now, let's jump into it here. Okay. The first thing I want to talk about, actually, we'll just get this out of the way right up front, because a lot of you guys have asked me about it already in my normal BlizzCon videos. But I want to talk about the new character models. So while I was at BlizzCon, I got the chance to sit down and play the game a little bit, and now they didn't have all the new character models in there yet, so I didn't get to see like the undead. I didn't get to see the undead in person. I did get to see a couple of other ones, and I have to say that they are really awesome. They looked so good. So I'm really looking forward to seeing the new undead one in person and getting to play around with it and see, see how the new animations and things are. But as for right now, haven't gotten to see it live yet, and I'm looking forward to that. So yeah, hopefully you guys are too. Alright, the next topic is going to be World PvP Zone. They have a new World PvP Zone coming out with this expansion, and from what they explained there, I think it's going to be really cool. They're basically going to have like an island. You go out on this little island, similar to Timeless Isle, I guess. You go out there in this area, and there's going to be objectives all over the place. So, just like in Wintergrasp or Tolbarad, you had the objectives that you had to control in order to win the matches. But in this, there is no match. It just continues on all the time. It's a persistent area rather than, every couple of hours you have to queue up and go in there. And this is going to be more persistent, so you can go out there at any time. You can find people to fight. You can take objectives. And overall, I think it's going to be a great thing for World PvP. And one of the cool things that they mentioned about this, number one, I guess, is that they wanted it to be kind of an epic scale, so there's no player cap on the zone. So if everyone on your server wants to go out there, somehow I guess they're going to try and make that happen. We'll have to see more once it gets closer and we can all get on and test that out. But the coolest thing is that they said that they're going to have balanced factions for it. And what they basically said was that they're going to use their cross-realm technology to take a server like Illidan or Tichondrius, who are very one-sided in terms of factions, and if you're on one of those servers and you go to that zone, you're going to be matched up with another server who's got the opposite faction. So if you're on a massive Horde server, you're going to go out there and you're going to fight people from a massive Alliance server. And I think that's incredible. That's such a great idea to keep World PvP going no matter what server you're on. So I'm really looking forward to the World PvP Zone and seeing what they're able to do with it. Next up, we're going to talk a little bit about the number squish. I know you guys have been asking me about that already, and I just want to say I think it is a great thing. The numbers, I feel like the numbers have gotten a little bit out of control, to be honest, and I'm really glad that they're bringing it back down. Now, in my time that I got to sit down and actually play the game, I was a little surprised. I mean, the numbers actually came down a lot. My character on the game that we got to play, on the build that we had, he was in item level, I think it was 528 gear. So, pretty good gear for what's out there right now. He was level 90, and he had 30k HP. 30k, that's it. Putting dots out on targets. They were ticking for, depending on which dot, anywhere from 500 up to 1,000, and I mean that's not bad, and you still felt just as powerful as you do now, just the numbers were a lot smaller. So I really like that. I don't really want to run out into the middle of a battleground and see people with over 1 million health. I think it's got a little crazy, so I'm really happy that they're doing this. And again, this is something that we're going to have to see more of once it gets closer, but I'm looking forward to it. Alright, so the arena is changing quite a bit. Now, you can still go in an arena just like you do right now. Log in, you can queue up anytime you want, go and fight people in the arena. But what they're doing now is they're trying to make a more skill-based system from what they said. And the way that they're doing this basically is when you go into arena, you go to an arena vendor, and they're actually calling it Trial of the Gladiator. You go to this vendor and you pick up all the gear. All of it. That's the only thing that's going to be allowed in the arena. No PvE gear, no honor gear, only this one specific set of gear. So when you go in the arena, there's nobody that's going to, have more gear or less gear than you. Everyone's going to be on equal footing. And when you go in, when everyone's got the same gear, it's just going to come down to skill. Now, that's their idea behind it. Now, we all know that arena is a little unbalanced when it comes to class versus class. If you're going into 2v2, it's still going to be difficult depending on what kind of comps you get. Same thing with 3s, but I think 3s are a little bit more balanced than 2s. I think you guys would agree with that. But I am looking forward to it. I think that'll be something interesting. It'll be a new way of doing that. And hopefully, for somebody like myself, I really love playing Battlegrounds. I'm not a huge arena fan, so I don't do a lot of it. The only reason I really do arena is every once in a while for fun, but really just to get the gear. And with what they're doing now, I don't think you're going to have to do that. I don't think arena is going to be as mandatory as it is now, which I really like. I like that they're gonna provide more options. The one downside for those of you who really do like arena, if you want to gain rating and climb the ladder and try and go for gladiator or something like that, there are scheduled times that you have to be on and playing. And the reason that they said they're doing this is because they want to basically stop people from being able to manipulate queues. They don't want you going in and queuing against your friend and win trading and that kind of stuff. So the only time that you can actually climb the ladder to try and get gladiator is during specified times, and there's going to be so many people on that you're not going to really be able to take advantage of any kind of win trading type thing. So we'll have to see again how that plays out, and this is still so far away that so much of this can change, so we'll see what happens. Moving on now, let's get into something that I know all of you guys are excited to hear about, which is the new level 100 priest talents. Now, for the sake of this video, and kind of been talking for a while now, I'm only going to talk about the shadow portion of the new talents. So the first one I'm going to mention is Divine Clarity, and when you're shadow, it becomes Clarity of Power. Basically what that does is it is a direct damage talent. It boosts all of your direct damage spells by 40%. So you're going to do 40% more damage to targets that do not have dots. So it's actually a talent that is promoting a new playstyle. They want you to go out there and throw mind spikes and mind blasts, and as you do that, as you're throwing mind spikes, the cooldown on mind blast gets reduced by 1 second. So that's kind of cool. I mean, the cooldown isn't very long on that, so you're going to be throwing things like crazy. I mean, you're going to be getting a lot of damage out there if you're able to free cast. Now, I think this will be something very good for PvE. I don't see it being very popular for PvP due to the fact that you got to stand there and cast an awful lot. So I don't know. We'll have to see what happens and how people approach this. But it also does make your direct damage spells affected by your mastery now. So that is something to keep in mind. Very, very powerful there. Imagine throwing out a mind blast and it crits, right? Mind blast crits, but your mastery goes off, so you get 2 of them. That could be huge burst. Think of it like an arcane mage. In my head, and the way I see this playing out, this talent is going to turn you into kind of like an arcane mage. So for those of you who like that, there it is. The next one is going to be Power of the Void. For Shadow, it's called Void Entropy. What that does basically is it gives you a new dot. It's going to consume whatever orbs you have, whether you've got 1, 2, or 3, and it's going to deal damage based on how many orbs it uses. If you throw 3 orbs, it's going to do 750 damage every 3 seconds for 60 seconds. So if this thing doesn't get dispelled, that's a huge dot. I mean, 750 damage doesn't sound like a lot now, but like I said before, your dots are only ticking for 500 to 1,000. So this dot is still doing really good damage, and its uptime is really long, 60 seconds. The downside to PvP though is that number one, it consumes your orbs, so you're not throwing Devouring Plagues. You can throw this instead. There's not much reason to throw Devouring Plagues if you're using a talent on this. So its uptime is great, but you got to make that trade again between Devouring Plague and this, and it can be dispelled. So I'm not sure that I'll be using this. It's definitely something I'm going to test out, but I don't think I'll actually be using it much. Now, the talent that I think is going to be the major talent for PvP is this next one, which is Spiritual Guidance. And what that does is it's just a passive. So your shadowy apparitions grant you 1 shadow orb whenever they deal damage. That's incredible. That is something that we've all been asking for basically since Mists of Pandaria came out. We've been asking for this, and they're finally going to give it to us with the next expansion. Now, who knows how many times this is going to get changed. I can see this being incredibly overpowered because it's going to give your Devouring Plague uptime. It's such a massive boost. I mean, you can almost, I could see you having Devouring Plague up any time you wanted to, and that paired with Insanity is just going to be overwhelming for healers, I think. So this is what I think they're going to end up doing. Either they're going to change this ability altogether, or I can see them reducing the proc rate of your shadow apparitions, changing how you get shadow apparitions so that you get far less of them. That way you're not going crazy with shadow orbs. So I think that's going to be the way that they do it. Obviously, they've already put this in there. They've let us play around with it a little bit, and I don't see them really taking it out of the game. It's always possible, but I think what they're going to do is just change the way that shadow apparitions happen. So we'll have to see. Again, I know I've said this a bunch of times already, but we're still so far out, there's no way to know. I'm just giving you the information we have right now. We'll have to see how it all plays out. But last thing before I wrap this up is for those of you out there who are kind of, you're into the lore. You're into the lore. I'm not a huge lore person. I enjoy it, but I don't go out of my way to try and read it. But they did go through the lore for this expansion, and I gotta tell you, without knowing a ton of the other lore, this was actually really, really good. So for those of you who are interested in the lore, definitely go to the website and read up on it and check this out. I think you'll really enjoy it. I thought it was a great story, and I'm looking forward to getting in and seeing how things play out in the game with as far as the storyline goes. But that's all I've got for right now. If you guys have any other questions, make sure to leave them down in the comments below, and I will try my best to answer them. Obviously, we don't have all the answers at this point, but I'll do what I can. And yeah, make sure you give this a thumbs up, and until next time, take it easy.